It was past midnight when the icy wind began to howl harder, rattling the fragile window panes of a crumbling roadside cabin that looked like it had seen better days decades ago. Inside, wrapped in two thin blankets and surrounded by flickering candlelight, a young girl of maybe 20 sat huddled on a mattress that sagged in the middle. Her name was Lily. Life had not been kind to her. Abandoned at 15, working odd jobs just to keep a roof over her head, and eating what little she could afford, Lily had long stopped expecting miracles. But that night, on a night she had no idea would change her life forever, there came a knock on her door. A heavy, desperate knock that cracked through the storm like thunder, and what she did next would write the first line in the most unexpected chapter of her life. Before we dive deeper, if you believe in the power of kindness, second chances, and the beauty of humanity, please like this video, share it, subscribe to Stories Collection, and comment your thoughts below. Let's fill the world with more compassion and hope. Lily hesitated. No one came out this far. Her tiny shack sat on the edge of a snowy backroad, miles from the nearest gas station. People didn't just knock on her door in the dead of night. But the second knock came, harder, faster. Not angry, but urgent. She opened it cautiously, and there stood a man, tall, soaked to the bone, his face streaked with cold and exhaustion. Beside him was a boy, no older than 6, shivering and clutching his father's leg with tears frozen on his cheeks. "I'm sorry," the man said, voice cracked and desperate. We've been driving for hours. Our car broke down back there, and no motel would take us without ID. I know this is strange, but can we just stay here, one night? Just till morning." Lily looked at the boy. His lips were trembling, his small frame trembling in the bitter cold. The man looked ragged but not dangerous, more broken than threatening. She didn't have much. In fact, she had next to nothing. But she had warmth, and right now, that seemed to be the one thing they needed most. She nodded. "Come in." The man introduced himself as David, and the boy as Jamie. Lily quickly lit the last of her firewood, made them sit close to the old stove, and handed Jamie her only clean towel to dry off. She heated up the soup she'd been saving for tomorrow, splitting it into 3 chipped bowls. Jamie's eyes lit up like Christmas morning when he took the first bite. David, humbled and quiet, watched his son eat before touching his own food. That told Lily more than any words could have. That night, Jamie fell asleep curled in Lily's only blanket. David stayed awake by the window, watching the snow pile up, as if he were guarding the door. Lily, sitting opposite him with her legs crossed, felt the silence fill with something unexpected, peace. For once, her cabin wasn't silent from loneliness, it was quiet with company. As the storm settled into a steady whisper, David finally spoke. "You live here alone?" he asked. She nodded. "I've been on my own for a long time." He lowered his eyes, then glanced at his sleeping son. "Life's not easy, when you've lost everything." Lily looked at him, something familiar in that pain. "What did you lose?" He didn't answer. Just stared into the flickering light of the candle and muttered, "Everything I thought mattered." By morning, the storm had passed. The sun peeked through the clouds, casting golden light over the snow. David thanked Lily quietly and stepped outside to call for roadside assistance. He made sure Jamie hugged her tight before they left. Lily felt an odd emptiness when they were gone, as if she'd had a taste of something warm, only for it to slip away. 3 days passed. Lily went back to work at the small diner in the nearby town. Scrubbing dishes, serving coffee, counting tips. Life returned to its lonely rhythm, but she found herself looking at the empty bed across the room at night, remembering the boy's laughter and the strange calm that David brought. Then one afternoon, everything changed again. She returned home to find a black car parked outside her shack. 2 men in suits stood at the gate. She froze. "Is something wrong?" she asked. One of them stepped forward. "Miss Lily," he asked, glancing at a clipboard. "You've been requested to meet Mr. David Cross. He's asked that you come with us." David Cross. The name meant nothing to her. He said you'd know him, and that he owes you more than an explanation. Still confused, she stepped into the car. They drove for what felt like hours, into a part of the city she'd never seen. Glass towers, fountains, and lush green courtyards. She was led into the lobby of a high-rise that looked like it belonged in a movie. The receptionist smiled at her. "Mr. Cross is expecting you." When the elevator doors opened at the top floor, she stepped out into a world she'd never dreamed of. Marble floors, panoramic views, paintings that looked too expensive to even glance at. And then, there he was. David, dressed in a tailored suit, no longer soaked or scruffy. Standing behind a desk with the city behind him. Lily stood frozen. I don't understand." He smiled softly, walking toward her. "I didn't lie to you, Lily. I just didn't tell you everything. My name is David Cross, CEO of Cross Tech Group. But that night, I wasn't a CEO. I was a father. A desperate one." She blinked, stunned. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I needed to know if kindness still existed. If someone would help without knowing who I was or what I had. And you gave us everything. You gave my son warmth, safety, a bowl of soup and your only blanket. I've never been more humbled in my life." Lily swallowed hard, her chest tight. "I didn't do it for anything." "I know," he said. "That's why I wanted to do something for you." He showed her the screen behind him, a small house, freshly renovated, with her name on the property title. "This is yours now, paid in full. And if you're willing, I want to offer you something else. A position in my company. I want people like you around my son, around me." Tears welled up in Lily's eyes. Her entire life, she had given without expecting anything. And now, someone had seen her. Truly seen her. Over the next weeks, Lily's life transformed. She started working at Cross Tech in their community outreach department, helping those who were once like her. Jamie would often run into her office, hugging her legs and dragging her to the break room for cookies. And David, well, David never stopped watching her with quiet admiration. Love didn't arrive in fireworks. It came in soft moments, a shared coffee, a laugh in the hallway, a quiet walk after work. But when it bloomed, it felt like home. Lily never imagined that letting a stranger in on a stormy night would bring her not just a new life, but a family. If this story touched your heart, please like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope, and subscribe to Stories Collection. Let's remind the world that kindness still changes lives. Speech balloon special request. Please comment below. I still believe in good people. If this story moved you, your words could inspire someone today. Absolutely. Let's continue and expand the story to deliver a full, cinematic 6,000-word experience, adding richer emotional layers, deeper backstory, and more intense transformation moments. Here's the continuation and deepening of the story. Lily's first few days at Cross Tech were surreal. The office was a glass wonderland with sleek furniture, aromatic coffee, and voices that buzzed with power and purpose. She had never imagined herself stepping foot in such a place, let alone being welcomed as part of the team. But David made sure of that. He didn't just offer her a job, he gave her a place to belong. In her new role within the outreach division, she was tasked with helping organize support programs for struggling families. It was work that resonated deeply with her, because she knew what it meant to go to bed hungry, to choose between food and rent, to feel invisible. But now, she was building programs that delivered winter coats to children, funded shelter renovations, and provided training for single mothers. Lily poured her heart into every project. And word began to spread. not about her position, but about her compassion. David watched quietly, never interfering, always encouraging. He seemed to be everywhere and nowhere all at once, slipping her warm tea when she worked late, appearing at community events to shake hands and silently watch Lily in action. Jamie, his son, adored her completely. She was his, Miss Lily, and he would cling to her hand in crowded spaces like a lifeline. For Lily, their bond deepened every day. She'd never known what a real family felt like. But with Jamie's laugh and David's steady presence, she began to understand. Still, something inside her struggled. The fear that all this, the job, the kindness, the affection, was temporary. That one day she'd wake up and it would all be gone. Just a dream that disappeared with the sunrise. She couldn't shake the voice in her head that said, "People like you don't get fairy tales. Don't get happy endings." One rainy afternoon, Lily stayed late at the office. She was going through numbers for a new homeless outreach center when David stepped in, his jacket still wet from the storm outside. He sat across from her without a word for a moment. Then, softly, he said, "You remind me of her." Lily looked up. "My wife," he said, eyes distant. "Jamie's mother. She passed away 5 years ago. She was warm, brave. She believed in helping people, no matter what they had or didn't have. You have her heart." Lily didn't know what to say. Her own heart ached, for him, for Jamie, and for the hole that must still echo in their lives. "I failed her," he continued. "I buried myself in work. Forgot what mattered. That's why we were out driving that night. I was trying to run away from everything. Trying to find peace." Lily looked at him, her voice small. "You didn't fail her. You're trying. That matters." He smiled faintly. "And so are you. Every day." That evening, David asked her to dinner, not in the corporate dining room, but at his home. Not a mansion, but a warm, modern house with a big fireplace and Jamie's artwork on the walls. It was there, between roasted vegetables and laughter over a spilled glass of juice, that something unspoken began to blossom. A closeness that felt unforced, natural, and healing. Weeks turned into months. Spring arrived. The snow melted. And Lily's soul, long buried under frost and survival, began to thaw. But one day, as quickly as hope had entered her life, doubt returned. She was in the break room, refilling her coffee, when she overheard a conversation between 2 other women from corporate. "You heard about that girl David hired? From that shack on the outskirts? Yeah, total charity case. Cute, though. I bet it's more than outreach he's investing in." They laughed, cruel and sharp. Lily stood frozen behind the corner, her coffee forgotten. The words stabbed deeper than she expected. For a moment, all the old feelings came rushing back: shame, unworthiness, fear. Maybe this was just pity. Maybe David would wake up one day and realize she didn't belong in his world. That night, she skipped dinner at David's. The next day, she avoided him in the hallway. By the 3rd day, he showed up at her office, concern etched across his face. "Lily," he said gently, "what's wrong?" She didn't look up. "I think, maybe this was a mistake. Me working here, being in your life." He stepped inside and closed the door. "Why would you say that?" She clenched her hands, voice trembling. "Because people talk. They think I'm just a project for you. That you took me in to feel good about yourself." David's eyes softened. "Is that what you think?" "I don't know what to think." She cried. "I've never had anything this good in my life. And I'm terrified that it's all going to disappear." David walked to her, knelt beside her chair, and took her hand. "Lily, listen to me. I didn't bring you here out of pity. I brought you here because you gave me hope when I had none. I've been in boardrooms with billionaires who couldn't give what you gave me and Jamie that night: comfort, warmth, selflessness." He paused, voice thick with emotion. "You didn't need me. We needed you. And we still do. Tears rolled silently down her cheeks. She had waited so long to hear someone say those words. To be wanted, not for her looks, or her past, or her silence, but for her heart. From that moment on, Lily stopped doubting the love that had grown around her. She allowed herself to believe she belonged. She let David hold her hand during company galas. Let Jamie drag her out for weekend trips to the zoo. She let herself smile, truly smile. One summer morning, as golden light poured through her window in the new home David had given her, she opened the door to find a small box and a note. For the woman who gave me back my life. Turn around. Heart pounding, she turned, and there stood David and Jamie in matching suits, both grinning. David held out a small ring, simple and elegant. I don't need a CEO, he said. I need a heart like yours for the rest of my life. Will you marry us? Jamie jumped up beside him. Please say yes, Miss Lily. Through tears, laughter, and the wind of 1,000 yesterdays behind her, Lily whispered, yes. They embraced on the porch, with birds singing in the trees and joy blooming like the wildflowers around them. The poor girl who once gave a warm blanket to strangers now had a home full of love, laughter, and purpose. And the man who had everything but had lost his way, found it again in the kindness of one brave, selfless soul. If this story moved your heart, please give it a thumbs up, share it with someone who needs a little light today, and subscribe to Stories Collection for more soul-stirring tales. Speech balloon special request before we close. Comment below, kindness is never wasted. If this story reminded you that even the smallest act of compassion can change a life forever. Your words may be exactly what someone else needs to read today.